Silence isn't empty, it's exposing. And if you were forced to sit in complete quiet tonight, no phone, no music, no distractions, you might discover that the thing you're running from isn't the noise, it's what shows up when it's gone. Silence isn't peaceful, not at first. If you removed every sound around you right now, no music, no notifications, no background noise, something inside you would start to move. And it wouldn't feel calm, it would feel exposed. That's the part we don't talk about. We say we want quiet, we say we're tired of the noise. But the moment silence actually arrives, we rush to fill it. Welcome back to Quiet Thinking. If this kind of reflection feels honest to you, consider subscribing. It genuinely helps the channel grow and gives me the motivation to keep creating these conversations. Now, I didn't always realize silence felt threatening to me. I thought I just liked stimulation, podcasts while driving, music while cooking, videos while eating, something playing while I fell asleep, felt normal, productive, even. But one night the power went out in my apartment. No lights, no Wi-Fi, no hum of appliances, just stillness. And I remember sitting there thinking, why does this feel so uncomfortable? Nothing bad was happening. I was safe, but my chest felt tight. My thoughts felt louder than the dark. That was the first time I noticed something strange. It wasn't the noise I depended on. It was the avoidance of silence. Silence removes distraction, and when distraction disappears, what's left? Your thoughts, your unfinished conversations, your doubts, your quiet disappointments. Silence is like a mirror with no filter. It doesn't distort. It doesn't entertain, it just reflects. And reflection can feel intense. In noise, your mind scatters. In silence, it concentrates. Every unresolved thought suddenly has space. Every suppressed feeling becomes clearer. That clarity can feel overwhelming if you're not used to it. I think a lot of us associate silence with loneliness, with awkwardness, with emptiness. But maybe that's because we rarely sit in it long enough to understand it. We experience the first layer discomfort and immediately escape. We turn something on. We reach for our phone. We create sound to drown out what's surfacing. But what if the discomfort isn't danger? What if it's just unfamiliar? I used to think silence meant something was wrong, like I should be doing something, improving something, responding to something. In a world that constantly updates, silence feels like falling behind. It feels unproductive, almost irresponsible. But the deeper truth is quieter than that. Silence threatens the identity we've built around being busy, around being connected, around being constantly stimulated. When it's quiet, you're no longer reacting. You're observing, and observation brings awareness. Awareness can change things. And change is unsettling, because once you see something clearly, it's harder to ignore. In silence, you might notice you're unhappy. In silence, you might realize you're exhausted. In silence, you might feel grief you've postponed, or fear you've been outrunning. Noise keeps everything slightly blurred. Silence sharpens the image. That sharpness can feel almost too honest. There's also something else. Silence removes performance. When there's no one to respond to, no feed to scroll, no audience, even a digital one, you're left without a script. And many of us don't know who we are with input, without feedback, without comparison. Silence asks a quiet question. Who are you when nothing is happening? That question isn't dramatic, but it's intimate. And intimacy with yourself can feel vulnerable. I remember trying to meditate for the first time years ago. I thought it would feel peaceful immediately. Instead, my mind raced. Old memories popped up. Embarrassing moments resurfaced. Worries I thought I'd handled came back. I almost quit after a few minutes, not because it was painful, but because it was honest. Silence doesn't attack you. It reveals you. And if you've spent years distracting yourself, that revelation can feel intense. We live in a culture that rarely pauses. Even waiting in line has become an opportunity to scroll. Even walking alone feels incomplete without headphones. We've filled every gap, and gaps are where silence lives. I'm not saying noise is bad. Music can be beautiful. Podcasts can inspire. Conversation can connect. But when we fear silence completely, it usually means there is something inside us we haven't made peace with. Silence doesn't create anxiety. It exposes it. Silence doesn't create insecurity. It highlights it. Silence doesn't invent loneliness. It reveals where connection is missing. And that revelation can feel threatening if we were not ready to look. But here's what I've started to notice. If you stay in silence just a little longer than feels comfortable, something shifts, the initial wave of discomfort passes, the mind slows down, the sharp edges soften. And beneath the noise of your thoughts, there's something steadier, not dramatic, not euphoric, just steady. It's like your nervous system recalibrates, like your mind remembers it does have to be constantly stimulated to exist. The threat dissolves, and what remains isn't emptiness, it's space. Space to think clearly, space to feel without immediately reacting, space to choose instead of impulse. That space is powerful, but it requires tolerance. You have to let the first layer of discomfort move through you. Most people never reach the second layer because they escape too soon. I still catch myself avoiding silence sometimes. I'll finish one video and immediately cue another. Not because I am deeply interested, but because I don't want the gap, and when I notice it, I pause. Just for a moment. I don't force myself into an hour of meditation. I just allow a few minutes of nothing. No agenda, no improvement plan, just awareness. And almost every time, I learn something small but meaningful. A thought I've been avoiding, a feeling I've been postponing, a truth I've been too busy to articulate. Silence feels threatening because it removes distraction, it removes performance, it removes escape routes. But it also removes distortion. It brings you closer to what's real. And reality, when approached gently, isn't the enemy, it's grounding. Maybe the question isn't why silence feels threatening. Maybe it's what in you feels threatened by being seen clearly. That's not a judgment, it's an invitation. An invitation to sit quietly for 5 minutes without filling the space. Not to fix yourself, not to optimize your mind. Just to exist without input. You might feel restless, that's okay. You might feel bored, that's normal. You might feel something you didn't expect, that's information. Silence isn't trying to harm you, it's trying to introduce you to yourself. And once that introduction happens enough times, the threat starts to fade. What once felt heavy begins to feel grounding. What once felt loud begins to feel manageable. What once felt like emptiness begins to feel like clarity. You don't need to eliminate noise from your life. Just reduce your fear of the quiet. Because in that quiet, there's something steady waiting, not dramatic, not overwhelming. Just steady. And maybe that steadiness is what you've been needing all along. Silence feels threatening because it exposes what distraction hides. But discomfort isn't danger, it's clarity beginning to surface. Try 5 quiet minutes today without noise and simply observe your thoughts. When was the last time you sat in real silence? Comment below and subscribe to Quiet Thinking for more reflections. This is Quiet Thinking. I'm glad you're here.